Good morning, everybody. Welcome to episode 15 of HHC, Heroes in a Half Court. I am Chris. I'm here with my brother Jacob. I'm here with my brother Josh. How are you guys doing today?
All good. It's all good.
Yeah.
Doing pretty good myself.
We're here to talk about a pretty full week of Spurs basketball in terms of a lot of games being played, a lot of minutes being played. Just like we are every single Sunday, we are here at 10 a.m. Going live on our YouTube, on our Facebook, and over Periscope on Twitter. We go live every Sunday at 10 a.m. We would love to have we'd love to have the discussions get bigger, and so if you give us a follow, give us a like, or any of that kind of stuff, we really appreciate it. We appreciate anybody who jumps in and kind of checks us out while we get a chance to discuss some Spurs ball. So we'll jump right into it since Josh has a little bit of an earlier out today. I do want to throw it up top real quick. It seems like the theme of the week is like our spotlighting of some of our young guys and taking advantage of some good opportunities for some guys being out and stuff like that. So I did want to throw a quick shout out to my younger brother Jake real quick because a couple months ago, I think I called him and was like, "Hey, I need some help doing this music video. I need you to come and help me out." So he showed up downtown San Antonio, was able to kind of help us out, no questions asked. And then last night did the exact same thing, or I guess it was 2 nights ago. "Hey, I need your help putting together this live stream concert, multicam and all that kind of stuff." And same thing, man. Just no questions. It's just I'll be there and ready to jump in and ready to. Again, kind of like our young guys on the Spurs, just being ready to take advantage of that opportunity, and it was a lot of fun, and I think it was a pretty successful event. So shout out to Jake for that.
I had a lot of fun doing it too, man. No worries over here in terms of not liking any type of jobs.
Yeah, and when I was in college and everything like that, a lot of my teachers, like their whole motto was like, if they ask you to try something, you should never say no. You know what I mean? And so I really appreciate your help, and I felt like it tied into this week because we were missing some guys. At that first beginning of the week, DeMar was still out, coming back from his family business, and then we sat DJ and Patty for some rest, and so it just provided some more. All year it's been about providing opportunities for our young guys and seeing what they do with it. And we had some good flashes this week, man. We got a big showing from KJ, and then last night we had a pretty good showing from Lonnie Walker, right? So let's just jump right into it with kind of like our overall thoughts with this week. We went 3-2, right? 3-2 for the week, which is, I don't think all three of us were incorrect, right? But it kind of hit right in that middle ground. I think Jake had us at 2-3.
I said 2-3.
Right. I think me and Josh both said 4-1. I want to say that both.
I said 5-0.
Oh yeah, Josh went 5-0.
Well,
Yeah,
he's crazy.
No, I thought that. Well, honestly, every week we should have won last night. We should have won last night, and then the Philly game was just that got out of hand.
Yeah, and I think me and Jake were talking. I guess me and my other brother were pretty of the same mind, which was that take care of the games that we needed to against the lesser Eastern Conference teams. No disrespect to Detroit or anybody, but and then if we were to split those two games, the Philly and Milwaukee, we would end with a 3-2. So that was kind of like where my It would have been 4-1. It would have been 4-1. Yeah. So that was kind of the hope. But we beat the teams that we should have beat, and we, like you said, we competed with at least one of the teams. You know what I mean? I didn't get a chance to watch the full Milwaukee game last night because, again, me and Jake were working. But it did feel, the action that we got a chance to catch, it did feel like one of those games where just couldn't get over the hump. Right? Kept pushing it to 1. Then the lead would bump back up to 6 or 7. And then we'd push it to 1, and then it would balloon again.
Well, I guess we'll talk about it later, right? We'll talk about the early games first, and then we'll talk about this Milwaukee game.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, Jake, you want to throw up some stats, or wherever you want to start?
Let's Philly just whooped us, dog.
We don't really got any stats to just say that. Philly came in, they did shot. They put up good numbers and all that kind of good stuff.
And no Embiid, right?
Yeah, no Embiid, and they still wrecked us.
Like that was one of my reasons. Remember, we knew that he was not going to play.
Yeah,
so I picked us to win that game. I thought we had a good chance.
But you know what? Like while it was going on though, like it reminded me of the things that we were talking about, which is like, okay, a guy like Dwight Howard, a guy like, remember we started naming all those bigs and saying like, okay, these athletic bigs give us trouble, and it was and it showed too. Like I don't hate that's the wrong word, but like, okay, Dwight Howard is like in this new resurgence as a good role player for LA and now Philly, and so you can tell that he's got a lot of confidence and he plays with a lot of energy still, right? And as soon as he came in and started running around and pushing a little bit and dunking, it gave me that flashback to like when we were playing them in the Lakers, we were playing against the Lakers last year, and he was like, he was talking exactly, talking a lot, and I was like, oh dang man, this is literally the perfect game for him to come in and talk smack and be successful against us again, and it did happen again. So yeah, again, like kind of like you said, that game I was ready to just kind of watch it.
Yeah. But it was not even their big guys too. They were hitting everything.
Freaking Danny Green and Seth Curry murdering us. Like, God,
what did Danny Green? Danny Green started off too hot.
Danny's first quarter was crazy. Was
2013 Danny Green?
Yeah, exactly. He had I remember looking like seeing the end of the first quarter box score, and I think he had like 11 or 12. And he has been averaging like 8 a game. So it was like, oh my God, this guy's already like, this is the type of night that we're gonna be going through.
He was juiced, man.
Yeah, like we're gonna see Danny Green freaking shoot lights out against us.
But and I guess we we can keep talking though to the point of like, we just need to hurry and figure out how to jump out the gates. You know what I mean? It could be focus, it could be energy or whatever that got a guy like Danny Green to show up and burn us in the first quarter. But just that one little thing sets the table for how the rest of the game goes. So I want some of our guys to have a little bit of that fire every night. You know what I mean? And just be like, hey, we got to get out and get to a big start. If anything, it's going to keep if anything, it's either going to set the table for us to hopefully win a game if we can jump on some guys, or at the very least, it just helps us compete and not have to put ourselves in a hole. You know what I'm saying? So I'm ready for that trend to end for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely been the thing that's caught my eye on all of this stuff this week is just how slow that we've been. Like,
Milwaukee, man, if we start, I feel like we came out strong against Milwaukee. We're up by 14 points.
That's the only game. That's the only game that I wasn't able to see. Like,
Yeah, same. Okay. But it was funny. So me and Jake were tearing down some lights and cameras last night, and I told him I pulled my phone up and I was like, oh, it's almost done with the first quarter, 31 to 25, I think is what it was. And so he was like, okay. I was like, good, 6. We got a 6-point lead. He was like, we're winning. What the heck? Like, he didn't even think. He's like automatically assumed that we were the ones down because of that. Because it's just the trend.
We started off so slow, yeah.
Exactly.
And you could definitely say that about that Chicago game, huh?
Yeah, like literally the Chicago game, I guess like the Detroit game and the Cleveland game don't really matter too much in the grand scheme of things, just because like at the end of the day we really did just we came out and we did our things. But at the same time, you could also like even though we did take care of business in Detroit, like you remember how bad that first quarter was. There's no way that we should be ending quarters either losing or tying with a team that's the worst in the league right now. So like it's like those are the kind of things that I'm like, man, we need to like fix that stuff, because if we're doing that against a bad team, what's gonna happen when we start doing that against a team like Milwaukee, team like freaking LA, either one of them,
Yeah, and and it's just consistency is what obviously every team, it's pretty generic to say like, yeah, we're looking for consistency, but it's crazy to see, we're kind of glossing over, like you said, we're kind of glossing over Chicago and Cleveland, but I mean, those games literally had the reverse opposite, which was us playing really lackluster at the beginning, and also like having to fight all the way because how we started, having to fight through that Chicago game, and then really needing that flurry at the end. You know what I mean? Really needing that flurry at the end to complete a comeback, and then you flip it over on the Cleveland game, and we actually like did an okay job of holding them off and doing the things we need to do, and then crashing at the end with that four-court pressure.
Yeah,
man.
We could not get the ball over half court, and we were watching the game with Juan, right? And Juan was going crazy. That guy was cussing up a storm, talking about them damn people, dude. He couldn't get the ball over half court.
Yeah, well, even I mean, when you got Bill Land saying like, shouldn't you be looking up court? It was like every pass was going baseline to baseline. People were just like, or like, DeMar. It was DeMar's first game back, right? It was DeMar's first game back, and he was just like a little calm. I think he's trying to be calm, but at the same time, it's like you can be calm and be energetic, or have energy and have pace. So just looking for that consistency overall. It was good to see. I will say it was good to see on the when it comes to the Chicago game. It was good to see like our ability to kind of just like get hot at the right time and really flip it. Because I mean, man, we had them on the ropes in that fourth quarter. They just looked so flustered, and I know that they're an inconsistent team themselves, and they have their own problems that they deal with. But it was just crazy to see that we were putting them in that position. You know what I mean? Like and that's what like Sean Elliott and like these older people that's what they talk about all the time, man. Like you got to be able to see these situations and see like, you got your foot on their neck, and there should be no other option in your head except for to finish it out. You know what I mean? You got to have a little bit of that killer mentality. But yeah, so I mean, is there anything that you guys want to add for like the comeback or Cleveland game or anything like that? Jake, is there any like numbers you want to throw out or anything?
Not necessarily. I don't really have any specific numbers for this week, I guess, just because for the most part, I feel like all of these games were mainly straightforward. Except for I couldn't tell you how well we really did in Milwaukee. Josh can kind of get onto that once we kind of move forward a little bit. But I need to start seeing us be more consistent. That is literally like the like flat line is like we cannot be a team that is so inconsistent that one night where, or even in the same night, we're losing excuse me, we're losing 3 quarters to the Bulls and then tearing them out in the fourth quarter, when that game should have been a just slow drive of us beating the Bulls. It shouldn't have been us losing that bad in the first place, and I commend our guys for being able to step up and like you said, getting that mentality, being able to get that drive and finish a game like that. Because I mean, that's what we got to do, right? Like you can't say that every game is lost, because especially in today's NBA, there 20-point leads drop so quickly, So like we cut that lead in like the first 2 minutes, and it was like, man, it's like the first 3 quarters didn't even matter. But at the end of the day, like for me, those first 3 quarters do matter. Like they do show me like, yo, y'all can't be doing this stuff, especially if we're going to be trying to be a playoff team, especially can't be doing that in a 7-game series,
It's just hard to say stuff like that, like consistent, like I guess maybe on the offensive end, but on the defensive end, like I feel like we're playing good defense against Zach LaVine. That guy was just going off.
Well,
Like, and there's nothing you could like. There's, to me, like, I don't care how consistent you are. I don't care whatever. And they say sometimes the offense is just better, right? And Zach LaVine, like a player like that, I mean, what he could do. I think it was the night before, right? He just dropped 40 against OKC. Like, you know what he could do. So I try not to like go too hard on the guys whenever. Like, I could understand if it was like somebody else, beating us, or somebody else, and you're just like, what the heck? This should not happen. But when you have Zach LaVine like going off like that, and he was hitting everything, and he can get to the rim whenever he wants against whoever he wants, honestly. So like maybe we need team defense better, but it's just like that guy was doing his thing.
But I would say like
later on.
I would say the Chicago game, though, like that first half, or like even the first 3 quarters, not only was he was hitting, but like he wasn't fretting at all. He wasn't sweating at all. You know what I mean? He was, and really nobody was like. They were playing pretty comfortably as a squad, like everybody. And because I mean, if you ask me, like what turned it around, it was Popovich saying, "Yo, go and guard them full court and make them work." You know what I mean? So there's I think there's
ball in his hands, right? Because a lot of the other guys had turned towards the end. Remember, they were throwing the ball all over the place.
Thad Young, you can see Satoransky with a couple turnovers as well. Like there's definitely like Chris said, they got flustered at the end of the game, and now like it just helped our momentum. I'm surprised that like after that 2-minute stretch, it was after the 2-minute stretch, Billy Donovan called a timeout. That should have been like 30, 45 seconds in. Billy Donovan should have made that timeout to get his guys to calm down or whatever. But
yeah, or at least hey, you just got burned on this full court like twice. Like, let's talk about it for a second. You know what I mean? Let's regroup or whatever. I mean, but yeah. So I mean, I don't know. In my opinion, like that was it's an energy shift at that point. You know what I mean? So I agree. I think our perimeter defense has been real good, and me and Jake talked about that a little bit too. Like we benefited in that Chicago game from Chicago not really looking to take advantage down low, especially the fact that Yak was getting some whack calls and was really just taken out of that game for most of the night.
Oh, in both games, Cleveland and Chicago.
Yeah, so we benefited from a little bit of their inexperience, I think. They like to live around that perimeter, and our perimeter guys are just their weakness played into our strength. It seemed that night, but yeah, man, that's been kind of frustrating too. I know we didn't really like bring up too many like talking points this week, but yeah, just the continuing trend of the way that they're calling fouls on Yak, man, it's
ridiculous.
It's tough because we talked a couple weeks ago or maybe last week about like his screens. But then it's like this guy can't.
We didn't see none of those this week, right?
No,
I can't even remember any like bad calls on his screen. Now that guy can't even jump straight up and get a hand on the ball.
It was crazy. I think it was like it was one or two different blocks that he got, like that they didn't call a foul, but he ended up getting a block. But he just looked a little bit like more like, I'm gonna go get this ball because I'm pissed right now, like, which is great. I'm totally fine with that. But yeah, and then there was that one foul where he like got fouled and he was just looking at the ref. He was like, "That's so bad." That's so bad because it was. It was. So the reason I get frustrated with it is just because it can really, really hurt us in the sense that if we get these consistent bad calls, well, then eventually it's like one of those things of like, if you keep telling a lie over and over and over, eventually it becomes the truth because perception is reality. So if the refs keep making bad calls, whether they overturn them later on in some transparency report later is regardless. But if they keep doing it again and again, well, then now scouting reports start to say one thing: hey, attack this guy this way because you're probably going to get a whistle. And now all of a sudden, now everybody is perpetuating a problem that was started by these refs calling incorrect calls. You know what I mean? So that's the thing that concerns me, because we are a team that literally when we went away from LA and we said LA's not going to be with us anymore, we solidified Yak as like, you are our anchor right now. You know what I mean? He's like our one center. So to be able to have a guy where every time that there's contact at the rim as a Spurs fan, you have to kind of like wince a little bit because you can just already feel like there's going to be a call against him. That's rough.
Especially those late freaking calls, man. Those get on my nerves. Well, literally,
we have the ball in our hand going the other way, right?
Yeah, DeJounte will have the ball in his hand, start dribbling up, get ready to throw the pass, and you finally hear.
Yeah. That's because, man, that's like something that the refs do now in the past like 2 or 3 years, right? Where it's like
if you make it,
yeah,
if you miss it, it's a foul. And
exactly.
I hate that stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly what they do. Yeah, and it's a little hard to watch.
Yeah.
So we have that trend is continuing, but I think Yak is doing an okay job of kind of fighting through it. He had that. I mean, he had another great. We kind of that's our fault. So he had a really good game this week as well.
Scoring, right?
Chicago, yeah. 20 and 17. He had a career high scoring, and then
you can look those numbers up if you want.
I got it right here. Jakob on the box score.
And while y'all are looking that up, he kept us afloat in that first half while we were playing really rough.
He had 20 points, 16 rebounds.
Yeah.
16. Okay, so I was off.
And the man, he had a couple jams in there, but I appreciated how many little floaters he had. Just because I know that everybody's always on him about needing to be strong at the rim and everything like that. But I mean, he's got touch. He's got and so he can play his strengths.
To note, like, he went 9 for 11, meaning like, yeah, he took a couple more shots than usual. But for me, for sure, like I was watching that game and it never seemed like he was going out of his way to try and take a harder floater or whatever like that. Like just because he knew he had like the hot hand, like I love seeing that about like at least like in terms of like Yak and even Drew to an extent. I feel like Drew gets a little bit more, ready to pounce on that shot once he gets the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
But I feel like Yak has gotten so much better at being able to just flow in the offense that like, they run that pick and roll and he's just eyeing where DJ, Lonnie, or Keldon are gonna like, throw that ball and where he can, grab it and get an easy bucket,
Yeah.
I think most of his shots that game were in the flow of the offense too. While our offense wasn't really flowing, at least like him being able to make those shots helped a lot,
Yeah. I mean, he kept, like I said, he kept us afloat with his little shot put shots and everything like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah,
just afloat with his floater. Is that what you were gonna say?
well, I guess. But yeah, so I mean, we are getting flashes of all of our guys, man. We're having these moments, so it's just about trying to put it together, as we keep moving forward, right?
For sure.
Okay, so we were able to kind of take advantage of his a strong performance and get a win. We were able to take advantage of Keldon Johnson. Oh my God, getting all those rebounds, man. That was great to see. Just I mean, obviously we saw like a lot of them came off of him. Just getting a rebound real quick on the board and throwing it right back up, and sometimes he would even get like 2 or 3 in one possession. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was gonna say it was off of his misses. He did that a couple times off of his missed layup. So grab that board again and put it back up.
But that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. That second bounce is quick.
Yeah,
I love it.
True.
Keldon's definitely. I feel like his ceiling can only go as far as he like wants to like have his drive in that sense, like be able to be as energetic as he can be.
Yeah.
And because like I could see him being like a calm, finesse, like his finesse finishing that he's been adding to his game over like I'd say like
the second half.
Yeah, kind of like coming into the second half, he's starting to add more of that Euro step and stuff like that. But then you also see whenever he adds that drive into his step, that extra kick where he just pushes through people and drives straight to the rim because he sees it. And I think that's just showing how much more like, potential he has on that end,
Yeah, especially because the NBA is getting smaller and smaller. If a guy like Dennis Rodman can have a career of that's mainly just off of spark and energy and that kind of stuff in that era, you know what I mean, having to go and find those boards over all the big people that they got back in the day. I mean, Keldon, if that becomes a focus of his, right, of like just trying to clean the glass and provide that energy, he can be really good for a long time.
Boy, man gets paid. Who said that, Jake?
Does get paid.
Who said that, Jake?
A man I do not like to talk about.
Okay, my fault.
Yeah, we'll be able to talk about him in just a little bit, actually. But yeah, so we were able to take advantage of Yak's performance. We were able to take advantage of Keldon's, and so it's a little bit of a shame that we weren't able to capitalize on Lonnie Walker, because from what I was able to see last night in the second half, he was very confident, right? He was shooting a lot, and I don't know, like Josh, you can speak to the game. Like, is it because nobody else was really getting good looks, and
I mean, I don't know. It's just like one of those nights where you have the hot hand, right? And at first, the team did a good job of feeding it. Like the game, we started off great. We were up 14 in the first quarter, and then we just went to that. Like it kind of looked like that Chicago game. We had turnover, couldn't get a good shot. Turnover, couldn't get a good shot. And they just crawled back in, and then they took the lead. And then actually, Giannis went out for a little while, and Chris Middleton, he played real good. But I mean, when he came back, we were just, like we couldn't get over the hump until that fourth quarter when Lonnie caught fire, and then he was just going off, and then maybe it was like 4 minutes to go. Like there was just multiple possessions where it's like Keldon got the ball and took a three like right away, or DeMar got it and dribbled and passed it, and Lonnie did not even touch the ball, and it was ridiculous. I'm like, man, and that's what Bill and Sean were saying, like, well, like why has Lonnie not touched the ball at all these last possessions? He just hit back-to-back threes, he just got to the lane and got a layup, but then you go and then what makes it worse is Lonnie doesn't touch the ball on this end. You go down there, Milwaukee scores like easy. Come back, same thing again. Lonnie doesn't touch the ball. Milwaukee goes and scores easy. So like, I mean, it wasn't the worst game. Like we hung in there with Milwaukee, and that's good. You know, I don't know. I don't know
especially
if it's like
without DeJounte and Patty. Like that's
yeah.
that's
Especially right, you forget that those guys were out. But like, yeah, it was rough. A rough night for Derek. That guy could not hit a shot at all again. Like, and it's mainly outside. Like, I don't know. Like when he gets in the paint, when he gets close to the rim, I feel like he's
Derek went 0 for 8 from 3.
Yeah, like he could not hit a shot, and I'm just like, at some point, and I know, right, shoot or shoot, you got to get out of it, but try it again next game. Like at some point, just stop, man.
Yeah, I get what you mean, and I mean, at the same time though, and a lot of Spurs Twitter is on this, and I don't understand why people are hating on Derek so much. I guess they've just not seen him at all this year, and they're coming and now he's coming in and just not playing as good right now because of his rhythm, because he hasn't had
but you keep saying that. Everybody keeps saying that, like, oh, it's the COVID thing, it's this thing, it's this thing, it's this thing. Like everybody and I know that he was one of the guys out, but like you want to talk about like Devin is in the same Devin is in the same boat as far as like he didn't play. Like there's games where he does not play and he comes in and he's good, just like Derek. Like when Derek was hurt, like I guess you could give him that, right?
Because but that was a big part of the season. It was a huge part of the season.
Yeah, like
him being injured.
Derek was gone for
that was at the beginning of the year. But this COVID thing, like the COVID thing, everybody was affected with COVID. Like as far as I forget the handful of players that we had. And then just for y'all to say, well, he just needs his rhythm because of COVID.
Okay.
We're not saying just because of COVID.
It just keeps adding. I mean, literally the guy has yet to play 15 games the whole year. He's like barely crossed into double-digit games played for the year. You know what I mean?
But the games, it's not like he's playing. He's coming in for 5 minutes, like, and he can't get a rhythm. That guy's playing 30 plus minutes a night. So honestly, in those games, he's probably played more than Devin the whole season.
Yeah, I can see that. But again, in a year where we talk about how the biggest time that we had to do any kind of development was at the beginning of the season, Derek missed all of that, all of it. You know what I mean?
And we don't know, maybe game wise, but like you cannot tell me he's not around like the team and practices and everything.
Even if you're using Devin as the other example, even if Devin doesn't get the amount of PT in an actual game that Derek is, that's still the entire first half of the season that Devin was running practices, running 5-on-5s, like
that's what I'm saying. I don't know what Derek was like because of his toe, and I'm not blaming. I'm not like I understand that part, but I'm saying like in the last, I mean, how long has it been since the COVID situation?
I'd say
like a couple weeks, right? Like 2 weeks, like 2 weeks. I feel like you could find a rhythm in 2 weeks. I really do.
I think you could find a rhythm if you played the entire season, just like all of our guys did, got COVID right there and came back after All-Star break. You could get your rhythm, but Derek didn't play that entire first half of the season.
He had 2 halts to his. Yeah, I mean, like when you talk about the season as,
but when you watch him, like he does everything. It's just like his shooting. Yeah. And I feel like that's the one thing that no matter, I don't care if you see Klay Thompson out there, and I know I'm saying Klay, and he's like one of the best shooters of all time, right? But you've seen the videos where he's just like standing still, and I know that Derek could just stand there and shoot. Like I feel like your shooting is the one thing that does not that shouldn't go away because like he does everything. Like Derek gets to the rim, he still makes good plays. So I don't know what it is. He just needs to make a shot. Like there's no excuse for that. To me, there's no excuse because I don't know. We've all played basketball. I feel like just you could come on the floor and you just shoot and you feel like your shot's good. But when you start running up and down, that's when you're like, dang, like I'm not in basketball shape. I'm not in this. But Derek is in basketball shape. He is all that. He's just not shooting good right now.
See, and then that I would agree with you about the shooting and how you're saying like that should be something that at least stays mechanically around the same place.
Yeah.
But what you just said about like him being in good basketball shape, he can be skinny and he can run up and down and all that kind of stuff. But again, in terms of just finding your physical, like I don't know, just your rhythm and your flow, I don't think that he is where he wants to be. If you asked him,
it's just like you watch it and he's like, it's not everything like is ugly.
He doesn't have to look.
When he's shooting the ball, he doesn't look
That's
tired.
exactly what I was just about to say. He doesn't have to look. I was just about to say that he doesn't have to look gassed to be out of rhythm. To be out of sync with his people, and especially like on a game like last night, this is a different already a different look when now 2 of your point guards are gone. That's a different kind of game that they're going to ask Derek White to play. You know what I mean? Than he's been all year. This is probably like the first time he's been in that position.
Yeah, but
you know what I'm saying?
He was in the same position. Lonnie started at point guard.
Say it again.
Lonnie started like he was the 2. Like if you want to, Derek's the 1.
I'm not.
You know what I mean?
I'm not talking about position
1
through 5. But
I'm just saying like I feel like you're not asked to do it. Like if you're just going to replace this guy with this guy, you're not asked to do anything different. You go in there and do what you've been doing with DJ. It's just the ball's in Lonnie's hand.
Lonnie started and the ball was like in his hand to start the game.
It was kind of the DeMar, like we're gonna start Lonnie at point guard, but DeMar's gonna have the ball all the time.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying is like I don't know,
and that's no different either because DeMar always has the damn ball in his hand.
Well, I kind of want to. You were saying like a shooter should just be able to kind of be like you said, like he should be able to just kind of come out and be.
I just feel like this is the only thing that he's struggling at because whenever you watch Derek, like I don't feel like he's struggling at get it to the paint, or I don't feel like he's struggling at getting guys open, or I don't feel like he's struggling at anything. Like I feel like Derek is playing like Derek. He has great defense. He's still trying to take these charges, even though a lot of the charges haven't gone his way. He's still in there. He's doing everything like Derek. It's just like he can't find his shot for whatever reason.
I would say that if you look to his defense, you can see how he's just like a step behind where he used to be. Because his intentions are there. He's still looking for all the right things. But when you see him on the defensive end, the reason he's getting the wrong side of a lot of these calls is because maybe he's just a little bit out of position or a little bit behind or a little. So like, I think eventually you'll start to see those things turn over as well. I think as we go along, you'll start to see his defense get more on the right side of those calls because again, it just takes.
I hope so.
You can't. I don't think you can put all of those calls on the ref. Like, oh, he's doing the exact same things. We're just not getting the calls. It's like, no, he's just like he's still getting to that point. He's not at the same position, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, so I mean, and I do agree. Like, you do want to see him right now. It's like, even if you're not in the rhythm, and if we know that DeMar's primarily handling the ball, then I want you to feel confident in your shot, and I need you to start knocking these babies down. Yeah. And I get what you're saying.
It's kind of stupid. I hate when Jake says this, but Jake always says, well, when you look at the box score, and if Derek just would have made half of those shots, we would have won the game. Like, I hate when he says things like that, but that's how I felt like last night. I'm like, dang, if you're going to take 8 threes, man, you better fucking not.
Come on, man. Come on. Like, you get what I mean.
I understand if he makes shots, he win the games. Like, so that's why I don't like when you say that because you're just like you look at the box score and you're like, well, if he would have made this,
that's exactly what I was about to say. Was
we don't have guys that go 0 for 8. Like I can't even tell you the last guy that went 0 for shooting that many.
You were talking about Derek the way that I've been talking about Lonnie this entire season, which is literally Lonnie. I know Lonnie can shoot. I know Lonnie can make these shots, but he's not making these shots.
It's one game. I'm talking about one game from Derek. You're talking about him over the season. Like, and I literally said the only thing that Derek's doing, like, he's not even doing it wrong. Like, I just want him to. I feel like as a player, when it's not your night. Like, I don't know. Like, if we're going to play basketball and I'm like, dang, I'm off today. I'm not going to shoot right now. Like you got to know those things in NBA player too.
To me, it is clear as day that Derek is the one that makes the smartest moves on both ends of the court.
And now, sometimes because that guy's been throwing the ball over sometimes too. He's been going crazy this year for whatever reason too. That guy makes
I know exactly. Like a couple of those Chicago plays like that come to my mind. But
God dang.
But I feel like he is like, whenever everything's fine, all that kind of stuff, he is the one who does make the smartest plays. So whenever I do see 0 for 8, I didn't get to watch the game, but I'd have to assume that at least 6 of those shots looked clean for him. Like they were not like somebody was already like up in his face and he just took a shot.
Yeah,
it was like, a wide open 3 and he probably had his feet set and everything. He just felt ready to take that shot.
Which makes you more accepting of an 0-8 night because you say, okay, if you know that he's going to put himself in good position, he just probably was missing. He was probably just off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for me, that all comes down to just like once he gets that rhythm, once he starts feeling himself in the flow of the actual game, not just our offense, because I feel like he is in the flow of the offense already, but just to be able to start feeling like he's in that NBA ready shape in that sense. Because obviously when you haven't played half of a season, everybody else has, and then you come in for 2 games, but then you hurt that same toe. It like I don't know about y'all, but I thought it was different. No, it's the same. Like he hurt that same toe.
Different toe.
I'm pretty sure it was the same toe. Like he just re-injured that toe. He stubbed his toe on the on something, right? And it re-injured that toe. So he was out again. But that's what, like, I don't know about y'all, but for me, if I know that my foot is injured at that part, and I know even though it's healed, I'm still gonna be wary about it. Like there's just those things where it's like once he starts getting into it, once you start giving him 20 games or even less, hopefully, right? Once you start giving him that amount of games, then you'll start to see Derek be able to kind of hit those shots in rhythm and stuff like that,
all I know is that this back half is crazy, right? So he's going to get a lot of minutes up fast. Yeah. And if he doesn't like snap out of it soon, then
Josh is correct. We do need him to make shots because he is one of the guys that we're going to start that we need to rely on to be a good jump shooter, to be a good 3-point shooter.
Like, if you look at our top guys, he's like up there in our like, hey man, you got to play good. Like, he's up there. Like,
you got to be good consistently.
Yeah, and especially if you're going to have him on the court at the same time as DeMar DeRozan and DJ, then he's got to be able to shoot that 3 and make it. So
I hate it, man. I hate it. It's like I understand why people want DeJounte and DJ to play together, and I hate it. I do not like it. I mean, DeJounte and Derek. I don't like it. I want those guys split up so bad.
Me too.
I think coming into next year, it'll be a whole lot easier, especially for me. It'll be a whole lot easier if DeMar's gone and we start seeing DeJounte, Lonnie in that lineup.
And I don't even want. And now that the season's been going, like, and we talk about this, I don't even want DeMar to leave no more either. I don't know. I don't want to pay this guy like a whole bunch of money, but I don't want him to leave either. I don't know what I want with this team. I'm crazy right now. These guys. I feel like we got too many good guys, and I want them all to play. And I'm just like,
but so we're talking about this right now. We'll go ahead and kind of get into this next little thing because we were talking about Milwaukee's game, and I know you were talking about Derek, but let's go ahead and just jump into Lonnie, right? So Lonnie had a great night, 31 points, 13 for 21 shooting, right? To be more precise, 5 for 9 at the 3-point line. So for me, I also saw that he took more shots than DeMar did. And in my opinion, like I said, I haven't watched the game, so I couldn't tell you if this is right or wrong. I'd have to assume, though, that most of those plays that Lonnie took his shots were probably drawn up for him, and he had the ball in his hands.
No, like,
and if not, it was probably DeMar had the ball in his hands, but he was able to give Lonnie a nice look to be able to, either run around a screen or do something that like made him feel comfortable in his shot, in his rhythm.
Yeah, a lot of it at the ball, like towards the end, Lonnie was just spotted up, and then DeMar did his little thing, catch and shoot, bam, bam, catch and shoot, and then there was a couple plays where, as soon as he caught the ball, he gave it right back to DeMar. Then he ran around, and got the ball again, off a couple screens and hit the shot. Or Lonnie was doing actually a great job last night of just driving, like blowing past people and getting right to the bucket. So I like it was real, like all over the place. You know what I mean? Like it was a little bit of everything. It was his 3-point shot. It was him getting to the rim. It was his pull-ups, off those high screens, that pull-up, like that's been cash for the last couple games,
Yeah.
Like, and it was good to see because it was everything, and it was him and DeMar on the floor together.
Well, so this is what I was gonna say though. You're saying that he's doing a little bit of everything, and that makes me think that at the beginning of the game he was able to catch a rhythm by having the ball in his hands.
He went off in the second half.
In the second half. So even then, in the second half, whatever, he probably started off with the rhythm, didn't he? He had to have, like,
the fourth quarter, right? I forget. I don't know if you could see what his.
I don't know if I'll be able to see quarter by quarter.
Quarter by quarter.
App. But either way,
just keep going with your point, Jake.
Either way, I mean, like I feel like it's been clear that especially with the games that DeMar hasn't been here, this is a game that I'm glad he was able to shoot well with DeMar on the court, and especially with DJ out, that already gives me the idea that Lonnie and DeMar were playing minutes together. But like I mean, these last couple games that DeMar hasn't been in, besides the Magic game, I believe, Lonnie has been efficient. He has been killing it on the offensive end, and I've been loving every single minute of it because I feel like most of the time that I see him get those shots, it's the high screen and roll plays where he has the ball in his hand, he gets his screen, and he gets himself into an off the dribble motion and just shoots it right at the top of the key, and it looks pretty, and it goes in. I think I feel like my point has been proven in these last 10, 12 games or whatever that we played after All-Star break. I feel like my point has been proven that literally we just need to start running an offense through Lonnie, and at the moment we need to just have him off the bench.
I feel like I don't feel like DeJounte, right? Whenever you watch DeJounte, I don't feel like there's too many like plays that are just like, all right, this one's for DJ. Like he just gets his points all over the place.
Yeah.
Like DeJounte does, and then he'll still get you like 16 a night, just what he's been going. So like, and I don't know who we run plays for. I mean, DeMar, we run a lot of plays like ISO plays, he'll back somebody down and he'll do his pumps and he'll do this and that. But when you watch the first unit, who do we run plays for all the time? Like, well, honestly, if you think about it, who do we run plays for?
But you're right in saying that, like, who do we run plays for? Because I feel like we do run a heavy like motion offense, and
right. It's just like, all over the place.
Everybody is running around and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, either at the beginning or at the end of the play, you're gonna see DeMar with the ball in his hands. You're gonna see DeJounte with the ball in his hands.
Yeah, he's just saying he wants Lonnie to be the initiator.
Yeah,
but I feel like you could do that in off the bench. I feel like because of like my point, like because we don't have the one guy that's just running the plays all the time, or we run plays for, like he could do that. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that he can't do that like strictly off the bench and then everything will go through Lonnie. Yeah, I mean obviously we could, but I think that Lonnie could do that either or. If he's starting, I feel like he could do that, and if he's on the bench, he could do that.
That's where the argument comes in, though, about like, well, there's only one ball, and so imagine if you put Lonnie on the bench, you can have the motion offense and have your contributors be Derek, DJ, DeMar, and then you can bank on having a heavy contributor on your bench. Like I think that's what Jake is just bringing up,
And right now,
good morning,
I would much rather have that be Derek, because Derek is better. Like I don't want both of those guys starting. We talked about. I just said earlier, I don't want DJ and Derek.
What if it was both? What if it was White and Lonnie to do what DJ and DeMar do on the front, on the starting? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean that would be great, but Pop for whatever reason plays DeMar too many minutes.
Well,
he plays. Oh, like you mean like he bleeds into that second unit a lot?
Yeah. So then it doesn't. I mean, it won't help us because then DeMar. It's just the same thing with DeMar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So
that would be great, but it's not going to happen.
Obviously,
unless next year.
Obviously, these last couple of games for Derek haven't been proving this point on my end too good. But Derek's good off ball. That's like for me, he is literally like y'all said, you know, Derek he needs to get better at shooting, obviously, right? But if I like, you know, I look at what Lonnie did, I look at what Derek's been doing on and both of them at the moment, whenever they're both being off ball, they're both just being streaky. But I feel like once Derek starts to get that rhythm going, once he starts to be able to feel himself, you're gonna start seeing why Derek should be, you know, that guy who can have the ball in his hands as the third option behind DeMar and DeJounte. But then you also see why he can be the guy in the off ball motions, you know, in a sense, basically what Patty does, you know, running off screens, finding open threes, driving to the rim. But Derek's playmaking is a lot better too. So you see him be able to get the ball off ball, be able to find a look, or even, you know, like there's those plays where you see him get the ball at the top of the three and he throws it right down to KJ. You know what I mean? Like there was literally that play, I think against Chicago or something like that, where you like it looked like he was finna take a deep three because he had got the ball from right there.
Yeah.
And then he just saw KJ right down the middle of the freaking court and just chunked it right.
And that was after I want to say that Derek White had just like made a 1 or 2 jump shots prior. He made a 3-pointer and then he made like another shot. So then again, yeah, he seeing that advantage of, okay, I know they're going to close out on me. KJ makes a good cut to the basket anyway, you know, finds him down low.
It just shows why having those two people of DeJounte and Derek can be a good tandem at the 1 and 2 because they're both good at playmaking.
That was late game, right? That was like towards
it was.
And that's fine. And we talked about that late game. Yeah. You want them on the floor together, but I don't think we need to start them on the floor together.
Same.
Like in the fourth quarter, I don't care if they play the whole fourth quarter together. Like that's what we need. You know, we got our two best defensive guards out there guarding, you know, whoever 1 and 2, and if they have to switch, you know. If you have to switch and then
you feel good about it,
it's not a drop off. Same way, you know, like DJ and Derek are right here and they're guarding whoever. Mm-hmm. So like late game, that's totally fine. I don't care, but it's just starting off. Like I hate whenever our second unit comes in or whatever, and we're not playing too good, and we have nobody to calm us down. We have nobody to run anything, and we're taking like garbage shots, and that puts us in that little hole. Like Derek will stop that.
Yeah, and that's what I always say too. Like I feel like we front load so much, especially in this year where we've had a couple instances. We've had Derek White was gone. We had COVID take out a handful of our players. We had DeMar being gone because of his family business. So like, there's been multiple opportunities or multiple times throughout the year where our roster is like semi or pretty depleted. And so I just felt like, especially in those instances, we need to spread out our good players. Like you can't like when there was a time where we had like Bates Diop and like Eubanks and like Rudy or Yak or something like all on the floor at once. I'm like, what are we doing out here? Like, like we're just so we're I don't know because I mean we've seen it for many years. Our MO was we're gonna have a really strong starting unit and they're either gonna take the lead or they're gonna keep us in the game, and then our bench is what's gonna come in and push the lead even further, or it's gonna help get us back into a game if our starters come out flat, right? So we don't have that punch coming from the second unit right now, and I think that's like the main reason why like you hear like us or Jake saying like, "Yo, let's put Lonnie on that bench already, man." Like, like we need some explosion. We like every time that I see DeMar, Keldon, DJ, and Y all at the same time, I'm like, ugh, like this is so much. Like it's great. It looks great when you see it on the stat sheet. You're like, or on the roster sheet. Like I love all these players. They're so solid.
Those are closing lineups.
What?
You know?
Yeah, exactly. So look, all of this though. What does that leave our second unit? Like you know.
And so that's why. But you gotta look at the roster makeup though. Like I mean, if we throw Derek on the bench, I don't think Lonnie. I mean, literally the first half of the season has showed why Lonnie can't be on that starting lineup. Why his off ball? He's just not an off ball player, and that's why.
Then I could just say, well, he just needed to get in rhythm. His rhythm.
What do you mean?
Just
He
like
literally had a
just
whole.
like,
He literally had a whole first half of the season,
no,
and
dog.
he was still being inefficient. You can't
He's-
tell me that
he's-
he needed to be in his rhythm
he's-
when he literally played a whole first half of the season.
Derek, and this is what, and I'm not hating on Derek at all. Like Derek, but Derek played the whole first half of the season and did not look like. Or honestly, it would go like 2 years ago, right? Playoff Derek, that playoff Derek, like the Denver Derek, didn't look like the Derek in the regular season. He didn't. He like showed up that series, right? And then that gave you the, oh my God, Derek, he's taking that next level. And then at the middle and the beginning of the season he was not the same Derek. And then in the bubble, he was that Derek. That's inconsistency over years. Like, and then you talk about Lonnie, like, well, in the first 20 games, like 20 games over 2.5 years. That's why I'm just like, man, you gotta chill. As far as Derek, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, because Derek is really he's up and down. Like some like the playoff Derek, that guy was going crazy, right? The Denver, and he was not like that before the bubble. He was not.
Honestly, would have to go back and look to see like the way he was playing prior to the bubble.
And then I mean, in like, I guess maybe because like we talked about who we had, right? We had the Bryn and the Marco maybe getting minutes like that they shouldn't have gotten. So like that's gonna make our team look bad overall. Like, if somebody has a good night and we lose, it's kind of just like overshadowed anyways. But like, I just want I don't know. I like I said, whenever I see that guy, like I see like when I'm talking about Lonnie, like I just feel like he has everything. Like and I'm the same. I just like, well, he's gonna put it together. Just how you're saying about Derek. Well, he's like, just let him play. He's gonna get a shot. He's gonna get in rhythm. That's how I feel about Lonnie. Like, just let him play because he's gonna put it together. You see his playmaking, like you see the passes. Like I know you didn't watch too much of last night, but like you see in the other games, you see the wraparound pass. I forget around whoever. Like those little plays. Like once you get in there and you start making those little plays and you get that confidence, just like anybody else, I feel like you just go up. Like, I don't know.
So then why shouldn't we try to build his confidence by making him the first option off the bench?
Because
instead of playing behind DeJounte and playing behind DeMar.
Like I said, the only person I feel like he's playing behind is DeMar.
No, he's playing behind DeJounte and DeMar. DeJounte is another play initiator who is a bit like who has at least, I mean, you look at how many assists DeJounte gets. They want him to be the playmaker of our team. Yeah. So both him and DeMar both have the ball in their hands. That means that Lonnie's getting little to no looks on, and the looks that he is getting,
if you want him off the bench, okay, but that like in late game situations, I would love to have him on the floor as well.
Sure.
If he's in rhythm and he's gotten his steps, he's gotten everything going for him. Yes, do that. But he needs to do that by being on the bench to get those plays where he can find his rhythm. I feel like he is, like, in a sense, just like a obviously he doesn't play in the post like LaMarcus was, but like you see how we needed LaMarcus to have the ball in his hands those couple plays at the beginning of the game, and this was because LaMarcus was starting, and we'd give him the ball in his hands for him to get his rhythm going.
But
I feel like that has to be the same thing for Lonnie.
Well, then start him and then let DeJounte, and let DeMar, like, instead of giving him the ball and saying go get your rhythm, let DeJounte run a play with the ball in DeJounte's hand. When you have eyes on DeJounte, when you have eyes on DeMar, run a play where Lonnie can go get that.
But
it's the same thing. It's the same thing. We're not putting DeMarcus on the bench and saying, here, you're going to be the guy on the bench. Go get your rhythm. Like, it's different. I mean, we could. I guess we could have.
I think if we would have committed, like, obviously we saw him on the bench for one game, but I think if we would have committed to LA being on the bench and he like said he was down for it or whatever, I think 100% it would have been, hey, you're the guy on the bench. Like, we're getting you the ball.
Yeah. But I'm saying like like as far as Jake saying, like, stay on the bench and let him go get his rhythm. Like, I mean, he could do that. I feel like you could do that at any point in the game. Like you can start, just run the first 2 plays for Lonnie or whatever. Like I'm not saying you have to run him, but like him being on the bench it's not just the only answer is what I'm saying. Like he could start, and you can't tell me that DeMar won't get Lonnie a nice look, like right off the bat. You can't tell me he can't do that.
Well, I mean, here's what I'll say.
And the thing is, DeMar doesn't. I feel like they don't do that. They just they give it to DeMar, and then if DeMar shot's not there, that's when DeMar passes out. Because if he'll take his own,
so this is what I was gonna say is like DeMar, most of the time feels like he's like looking for his teammates earlier in the game, and then he'll kind of turn it on in terms of trying to shoot more as it moves along. So I get what you're saying about like, and I think that is a good point what you're saying about when there's eyes on DJ and DeMar that can allow Lonnie to do well with that group. Like I get what you're saying, and maybe
talk about rhythm, right? Just to
get, and maybe the flip side of that is it's harder to get into the rhythm when everybody's looking at you when you're on the, you know what I mean? And so I would want both. Like I said, I would want Derek White and Lonnie to be on that bench, because I feel like then it fits the best of both worlds. You're not having all the eyes just look at Lonnie and can be able to cue in and zone in on just him. You got a 1-2 punch. You know what I mean?
If in a perfect lineup, Jake, or whatever, like you say you want Lonnie on the bench, who's your second 5?
My second 5? Well,
right.
Literally, because Derek would be starting. And this is why I was saying earlier about roster makeup. Because why would we want Patty starting at the moment? Like we can't really have Patty starting unless it's against somebody who only has one guy like that's good in their 1-2. You know what I mean? So literally, my second 5 is Patty, Lonnie, Devin. I don't know who I mean.
Probably like Rudy and Drew.
Probably Drew, yeah.
Rudy and Drew. But at the same time, I guess either or, right? Like
it would if we had one more serviceable big. If we had one more serviceable big, it would be so much easier to have maybe like DJ, DeMar, Keldon, 2 bigs. You know what I mean? And then you can go White, Lonnie, and Vassell.
That's why you got to throw. I wish, if we had one more guy that everybody can slide over, and you'll push Lonnie out of the starting lineup or Derek out of the starting lineup and throw him to the second unit. If we could move DeMar back to the 2 and run KJ at the 3, and then have the 1.
That's what I would want.
One guy at the 4.
That's what I would want.
And I don't see why we can't even try. I don't
Luka.
know.
I mean, not Luka.
Not Luka, but Drew plays. I feel like Drew's been playing good, and he's one of the guys
we can't run Drew and Yak on the floor at the same time.
Yeah, well, and that's why I'm saying that's why it sucks. It sucks because you know that Drew.
Guards,
you know that
with the 3 guards we can you don't think that
I think you absolutely can, but at the same time, I feel like the reason you cannot is because we know that Drew is like the backup to Yak right now, and that's why you can't.
I don't even if we had a serviceable big right there, there's no way.
If Drew Eubanks' responsibilities will be so low on the starting lineup.
They both play the exact same role. You cannot tell me that you have 2 centers playing the exact same role.
I would say that Drew Eubanks is only a center on our team because we have nobody else. Eubanks is not a center.
But he doesn't space the floor. All he does is gets rebounds, blocks shots, and can pop a hook shot every now and then.
What else do you need?
Like a big?
What else do you need?
From a center, from a forward, because I'm not even calling him a power forward. I'm saying just like a forward because it's more positionalist, right? Like from a forward, you need somebody who can be able to space, run up and down the court, and I mean like be able to run off ball. Drew's
space comes from getting himself a little bit away from the paint to open the floor up just from drivers, and then crash the hell out of the board as soon as the driver is going. You follow the ball, you go crash the glass.
Drew got
no way. No way.
He did in the corner.
Nice.
I mean, if Drew Eubanks becomes a 3-point shooter,
Drew does not need to have any offensive responsibility outside of crash the board, get your guards extra opportunities, give them good screens, like you said, what Yak does, and Yak does it well. Like why would you not want two of them just because he can't shoot a 3-pointer? We've already showed this year, like, we're okay with
we got a guard that can't shoot a 3-pointer. So
we're okay with taking the mid range, like you said. Lonnie's pull up is looking way better. DJ is like, that's one of his shots. He just steps right into that mid range and boom, it's gone. So like, if now in a perfect world,
3 or 4 people in the paint or 3 or 4 people clogging the mid range space, like what are we gonna do? You know, like
who? But okay, so I'm not talking about. I'm talking about get even if Yak is your anchor down low, you get Drew Eubanks to go set a high ass screen, meaning he's not in the paint, giving your guard that whole floor space, and now you're putting your defenses in positions like we've seen many times. DJ running 100 miles at the court, at the rim, and either you're gonna give him a shot, a lane, or he's gonna throw it up, and Yak is there to clean up. You know what I mean? Like that's we can have space. People have had space in the NBA for decades prior to positionless basketball.
But they're not gonna close in on Drew Eubanks. They're gonna drop down.
Drew Eubanks is the screener. He's just setting.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and that's what I'm saying. They're gonna drop down from Drew. Like, you're gonna see the big man or whoever is guarding Drew Eubanks drop down so that you have 2 people guarding DeJounte.
No. If Drew sets a good screen, then DJ's gonna have a wide open mid range because as a big man, you're not gonna come too high. So he's gonna sag. So if Drew sets a solid screen, it's going to be 1-on-1 with DJ on a big man.
Well, you're saying as a big man, but it might not even be a big man. What if we're playing against, somebody who's, I would just say, like, just like another Keldon Johnson, right? Another guy who's 6'5", 6'7". Yeah.
Okay, so if it's that guy, are you afraid of that guy following DJ? Because if he follows DJ, and guess who's right behind him? Drew Eubanks. I will take Drew Eubanks taking a ball off the glass over a smaller 4. Because that's the guy. Because that and like just like you said earlier, either today or last night, when Drew gets the ball, he's looking to go hard at the rim. So imagine him crashing the glass, knowing that his man is not even looking at him. His man's looking at DJ. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like we would do better in, especially if we're playing this middle ground. Like, the people who do positionless basketball just jack up a bunch of threes and go to the rim. We don't even do that. We live in the mid range. We do other things. So I just feel like we don't need to go. I don't like to see all of our I don't like to see Keldon Johnson at the 4. Like, I know he's strong. I know he's you know what I mean?
At the 3, he's perfect for the 3.
We need him at the 3. And I know Josh has to leave soon, but I mean, we're getting ready to talk about, like, going to play the Clippers. That's what they have a traditional small forward in Kawhi Leonard. You know what I mean? You need a Keldon Johnson at the 3 right there. Like, that's his position is at the 3. And my position, in my opinion, is when you see a guy like that, you're not going to put KJ at the 4. You know what I mean?
My next question is, what do we do on the defensive end when we're playing, in a sense, in my opinion, if we're playing Drew and Yak at the same time on the court, you're going to see both of those guys trying to be anchors in the paint. You know what I mean? Like, would we try to run zones instead of running man to man? Because they're going to be
defensively. But
you think that everybody has a 4 that stretches. Like, I feel like that's what you're still gonna have. You're still gonna have a 4, like, in a sense, for the most part of the league. You're gonna see 4 out, 1 in, right? Yeah. Okay.
You're gonna see
just give me an example of what team that is gonna go out there. Like, I'm trying to think. Like,
we're playing against the Charlotte Hornets team, and if I'm not mistaken, they run Miles Bridges. That's who they run. Because if I'm correct, you have Terry Rozier, LaMelo Ball, Gordon Hayward, Miles Bridges, and I believe Bismack or Cody Zeller. And I could be completely wrong, but sounds
either way, that's like a 5, yeah.
Right? That sounds like a lineup, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So if I'm gonna have Drew guard Miles Bridges, and I would definitely let that guy take 10 3-pointers a game.
Yeah. Or even if I don't get what you're saying is like if it's a stretch 4. So if we have Drew, wouldn't you trust Drew to at least just stand and out on a stretch 4?
You don't think that they're gonna try to run plays because they're stretch 4 or whoever is playing at that 4, whoever Drew is guarding.
In what in an ISO or just like run him off?
ISO, just like run him off the ball, like literally.
If you have LaMelo Ball and Gordon Hayward, I doubt they're just gonna say, "Oh my God, let's attack Drew Eubanks."
I'm saying that like you could literally run plays where you're just seeing Miles Bridges run faster than Drew Eubanks off the 3-point line, and either he gets a good look or like I'm just saying like in a sense Drew is going to be a step behind because he's trying to run.
That's why I say let that guy take 10 3-pointers game.
It doesn't matter. It might not be a 3-pointer. It could just be a drive to the rim because he ran baseline and Drew thought he was running through the perimeter.
Like honestly, if I seen
that would put him a step behind.
If I look at that game right, and I saw that Miles Bridges had the most shots, like if you just think that he's going to attack him every single time, and Miles Bridges beats us, then that's our fault. Like that, then that's okay, I guess. Like then that's what we gave up. Like if Miles Bridges is going to beat us if the 4 is going to beat us every night, I'm okay with that. Everybody's so guard heavy. I don't think they're thinking like you at all. Like they're not going to stop the game and be like, we're going to attack Drew Eubanks, because that's not what anybody does. Because every single night I feel like there's a mismatch somewhere.
You don't have to make it a focal point of your offense in order to take advantage of things.
But so you're just saying that offhand, not even looking to go attack him, that Drew Eubanks is just going to get burned all the time.
Yeah, that's what he's
I would just say that like he's going to be a step behind. I don't see Drew Eubanks keeping up with guys that are 6'7", 3 inches, 4 inches smaller than him, but being able to run, however much.
If they're, Drew's not like a scrub. Like when he gets close to that rim, like I think he's all right. His little hooks are not that bad. I don't mind when he takes those. So if they're 3 inches or whatever, I'll take that. I'll take his little
and if anything,
whatever, like his little size disparity, like on both ends. I'll trust him to grab an offensive board every now and then, and I'll trust him to get those defensive boards.
And then also, if you are gonna try to pinpoint him on that other end, well, now you're throwing a 6'7" guy into the paint. Okay, so are you going to just go and live in the paint with Yak and Drew for the whole first half? Go ahead and keep trying to shoot those threes in the fourth quarter after banging with Drew. You know what I mean? Even if he only hits two hooks, but he's putting you on his back a couple times. I mean, I don't know. I guess my whole point is
it could work, man. But it could work.
Like, I mean, obviously in a perfect world, we have maybe somebody who's a little bit faster than Drew or whatever. But I mean, I just feel like even though we have all these guards, I feel like we need to spread them out more. We don't need we don't need 4 guards on the court at all times, in my opinion.
We don't.
And I know Josh was saying like he doesn't want to move on from DeMar, but that's literally how we're going to open up. I feel like that's how we're going to be able to open up rotations.
We'll see, but I would say if we just upgraded our forwards a little bit, we could keep DeMar, and just like you said, if we move Lonnie and Derek to the bench, but we have somebody to fill in a good 4 spot, that's totally fine. If anything, that makes us more solid and deeper, in my opinion.
I get what you mean.
I would rather do that. I would rather seek to upgrade our big man position. I mean, that's been our just where we're weak at.
John Collins at the 4 next year.
I mean, if you look at our stable of bigs, other than Yak, we got LA who's not playing, and then we just a huge drop off. You know what I mean? It's a huge drop off. So I mean, I think we can be successful next year and the year and beyond, maybe the next 2 to 3 years, continuing to have DeMar to be in there. But I mean, upgrading that position. Imagine if we got to somebody decent to play the 4 in our draft this next year, and then you slide him in where exactly what I was just saying to put Drew. Do you think we could be successful?
Yeah. I mean, if we ended up getting some young guy who would be able to, and Drew's not even that old.
He's all like 20, yeah, 20,
whatever.
23, something like that.
But like, we get some young guy in the draft that can be that 4 that stretches, that runs, whatever. Like being able to kind of just like fit that forward position, but is just taller, that's fine. That is perfectly fine. I literally see, in my opinion, like at least the way that the NBA is running, I literally see that 4 position as the guy who doesn't do as much as what the small forward does in terms of all around play, but does just like a an extension of that and is taller. That is literally all I feel like this number 4 on a lineup is in terms of lineups today. You're not somebody who can maybe it can be somebody who can bang down low, but for the most part you don't see that. You see guys who do what small forwards do and are just taller. That's literally all I see.
I get it. But I don't know. I just we'll move on, especially because Josh, I don't know.
I do gotta go.
Right on. So real quick, Josh, do you want to give any thoughts on we got Charlotte, we have a doubleheader with the Clippers, and then we have Chicago again.
Yeah, I feel like Chicago's gonna come out like super sour. You know what I mean? Try to spoil our party, our home. It's 9-game, right? 9-game homestand.
Yeah.
It starts when?
Keep talking.
Or the Charlotte game. It starts.
Okay,
starts
so tomorrow.
Next game is starting the 9-game homestand. Yeah, so I feel like we're gonna beat Charlotte. I feel like we're gonna beat Chicago. I feel like we're gonna split with the Clippers, as far as that goes. So what is that? 3-1. 3-1. We got 4 games this week.
Yeah, 4 games.
Yeah, 4 games this week. I feel like we're gonna go 3-1. Chicago kind of scares me because of what happened last time. I feel like they're gonna have that taste in their mouth still. It's only a week out.
Yeah.
So Chicago's one to look forward to. I don't want to bypass any of these Clippers games because we're gonna see what happens. Hopefully, they rest Kawhi on the second one or whatever, like he always likes to do. But yeah. That'll be a winning week, and that'd be good in my book.
Cool. All right, well, we'll let you go, and then when we see you next week, we'll be able to see how we fared against LAC. We'll have some more time to talk then.
Yeah, for sure.
Talk about how Lonnie goes for career highs off the bench.
We'll see. All right. Well, thanks, Josh. Go Spurs, and we'll see you next week.
For sure. See y'all later, guys.
Right. Peace. All right, Jake. Well, do you want to we'll just jump ahead straight into the previews then?
Yeah.
Good.
Honestly.
Good.
All right. So, like Chris said, first matchup is going to be against Charlotte. We did win against them in January. You said?
No. These guys we played just a little over a month ago.
Oh no, yeah.
It's the Clippers that we played in January.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
so,
last game, February 14th on Valentine's Day, we had a 122-110 victory.
Yeah, see, so this was another game that we started off, and we really do need to. I guess if we're gonna be starting off slow, the fact that our second quarters have been killer, like we just got to keep on that. If that's how it's gonna be, we really do need to come out hitting in the second quarters.
Yeah.
If you look at you look at this one, the box score for our last game, we literally went 17-33 in the first quarter, and then we beat them 47-26 in the second quarter.
You're saying the last game against Charlotte, right?
Yeah, against Charlotte.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, we just got to come out consistent. We got to come out strong and finish a game instead of coming out slow and pushing our way towards the end. Like,
yeah. Now I will say, like, that last game that we played against them, it was a pretty small lineup. We only went eight deep, plus Drew Eubanks got let me see, 5, 6, 7. I guess we went 9 deep, but Drew Eubanks only had 6 minutes and Vassell only had 7. That's like 7, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, about like eight people got most of our minutes, and it was a pretty good showing. I mean, Keldon Johnson with 18, DeJounte Murray with 26, Derek White with 25. I mean, like, our young guys definitely had some opportunities. So,
that's right. This was the game where DeMar only took 8 shots. I remember that because that's it's like. I feel like once you see that you see DeJounte take 22, you see Keldon take 14 and Derek take 15 respectively. Like, those are the type of nights that I don't care if DeMar takes 8 shots. If everybody else is hitting theirs, like, That's fine. You facilitate. You do your thing. DeMar had more assists than points that game. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it this team shouldn't be crazy to beat. Like,
I will say on the IR list we got LaMelo Ball as of March 21st is day to day. And then also Terry Rozier, I guess maybe left the game. It says Rozier won't return to Saturday's game against the Clippers due to a left hip contusion. So a left hip contusion, it's just basically like a deep bruise. I don't know. So he could be a coin flip, but I could see him missing. Tomorrow.
Okay. And then like you said, LaMelo being day to day, that's what is that? That's 36 points right there.
Yeah, right. So and also Cody Zeller is listed as day to day from March 19th. So I mean, they could be shorthanded. This one definitely would fall into just like the Chicago and Cleveland and Detroit games of they have formidable people. Let's give them the proper respect, but let's really hone in. Let's be disciplined and let's go get a win. Like that's what we should expect at least. I will say, man. These games though that have like these marquee young names or just marquee stars in general, these are the games that me personally I get a little bit like, and I know that like a guy like Popovich or even like probably the roster of the Spurs don't give a shit about it, but like I want us to perform well against these teams because we talk all year, even like a DeJounte Murray, I feel like he should care because like if a DeJounte Murray at the beginning of the year says like, we got to make the NBA care about us. We got to make them give us respect. Well, these are the stages that you have to do them on. You have to do them when the eyes are on you. You know what I mean? And this is a good opportunity for us. People are going to look at this game because of LaMelo Ball. Maybe they won't because they see the Spurs, but I mean, like eyes are on LaMelo Ball all the time. He's a Rookie of the Year candidate and all that kind of stuff. So if we can go and show well against them, not to say that people are going to be surprised that we beat them, but they can still be like, oh man, like I didn't really know that Lonnie Walker had that in his bag. You know what I mean? Like that kind of talk. That it's during games like this where we start those conversations. You know what I mean? Damn, I didn't know that DeJounte. I didn't know he had it like that. Well, now you do. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
that's what I'm looking forward to when we see all these games that have these young stars, but their team maybe isn't the best. Like we got to be able to piggyback on some of their attention because we just don't get it.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it'll be pretty funny to see the LaMelo report. I mean, the Bleacher Report post something about like LaMelo high-fiving Pop at the beginning of the game or something like that, But yeah, you're right. And I honestly felt the same way. I remember specifically last year because we were the first game. We were
Zion's return. Yep.
It was like, in my mind, I'm like, all right, let's just whoop the Pelicans this night. Let's ruin Zion's rookie
debut.
showcase. And like the NBA fan in me was like, oh, I want to see Zion drop 50 tonight. But then
I feel like you got the best of both worlds because he went off and we got the win.
But like in the Spurs head, I was like, oh man, I hope Zion drops 0 tonight and we just destroy them. And like the first half was like, yes, let's do it. And then the third quarter came in and he started hitting those threes and you just hear the crowd and we're just like, oh no, just get a little antsy, right? Like scared that he really was gonna drop, however much and kill us that game. But
yeah, so I want to see a little bit of that though. I do want to see a little bit of that killer, like. Oh, this is your stage? Are you sure? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
is that
we're the Spurs, dog? You ain't, you're not gonna freaking get by us on anything,
Yeah,
and I definitely understand that. Like, that's definitely one of the mentalities that I've tried to keep of just like, once you see somebody has like a name or you see like they kind of showboat a lot, you're just like, yeah, I want you to try to showboat against the Spurs and see what happens. Like see us freaking dominate you to where you don't get to do that at all.
Yeah. And obviously, let's say Terry Rozier doesn't play. Obviously that's a factor, right? And again, it's not like I don't know if I don't even know if anybody would really be surprised if we beat them. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that that's where I'm coming from, but it's just a thing of like, I want us to play really well because I know that there are eyes on us. So if we can have, imagine if we had a Keldon Johnson 20 rebound game, against the Zion or against, you know what I mean? Like that's what we want to see,
Maybe Bleacher Report will put something up saying that he's the 13th player to do it this season. Like, whatever.
Yeah. So I mean, I anticipate us going in and getting a win. I don't think we'll be missing anybody, right? I mean, DeMar's back. We should be, we should be starting. I'm hoping that this 9-game homestand, we won 3 in a row, then lost to Milwaukee, but still, didn't play, the worst kind of game against Milwaukee. So I'm hoping that we can really start to build momentum and start to put some wins together, even if we go a 3-1 this week and we take a loss to LAC or something like that. I just want to see us start to lock in and start to solidify a little bit more.
I doubt this will be the case, but maybe we do have an addition to our roster by tomorrow. I doubt it, but
now, when is the deadline officially? The 24th, 25th?
I thought it was 25th. So
okay.
I'm looking more towards we better have somebody new, or I guess LA will just be off the roster by this point, but we'll have our answer by the time we play this back-to-back against the Clippers, right?
Yeah, but I mean, sometimes it takes a couple days because I mean, our games are Monday and then Wednesday, Thursday.
Yes.
So I mean, we might not make a trade or make a move until until the 24th or the 25th. So
yeah, you're right, which is literally the last day.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll get our answer literally 6:30, 5 o'clock at on the 25th or something like that.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't anticipate us having any new players for maybe we have it for Chicago. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Especially if we were to make a deal happen a day or two before the actual deadline, then because I know it takes a couple days to get physicals in, and maybe I don't know if they've been taking longer with like COVID and all that kind of stuff also. And
I'm also still looking to see if we're gonna trade Rudy. I love Rudy, I really do, but if we can find a little something for a team that's getting that really wants that extra.
But what do you mean by something? And maybe that's where we can spend some of our time talking as we're getting closer to trade deadline. Like, what do you mean by something? Are you willing to let Rudy go for like draft picks, or do you want like just some young body? Like, what are you looking for?
I'm more on the side, like, obviously there's like the balance, right? Like when it comes to draft capital, like 2 seconds isn't gonna be, well, it can be, because obviously look at Trey Jones, you see the potential on him, and that's like, all right, we got a good pick out of that, but even then, like getting second round draft capital I feel like isn't as valuable as getting somebody who's a little bit younger. And honestly, like if we we'll go ahead and put this up on the thing, right? Just kind of get a little topic before we go into the Clippers, right?
Yeah.
But like if we trade Rudy and we get another forward that's just younger, like I don't think I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You know what I mean? Because like I know I don't know a lot about him, but I know there's a kid on the Miami Heat named KZ Apala who's a 6'7" forward, I think, or 6'8" forward, and it's like, let's just we're gonna just make him an athletic Rudy Gay or whatever. Like, we're just gonna put him in Rudy's spot.
Yeah.
And he's just gonna be younger. He's just gonna still build with the core. So it's not like there's anything wrong with that in that sense,
It's just somebody that could possibly do what Rudy's doing, but for cheaper and for longer. If it were, if the contracts work out and we can develop him right and all that.
Exactly.
Okay, like so, like, are you willing to pick up somebody for Rudy Gay that is gonna make us worse, like not gonna be as good as Rudy Gay?
I am. I'm the guy who's like, I already looked at the roster and was like, the playoff experience is nice, but if especially at the West, that could making the playoffs or not making the playoffs could honestly decide. I feel like it could decide 3 to 4 draft picks. You know what I mean?
In what way?
In the way that like you make the playoffs and yeah, you're like 16, 17. If you don't make the playoffs, you're like 13, 12, or even 11 in our case for last year. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like it's like right now the Warriors are like 9th seed or something like that, and they're technically still in the lottery. Like pool. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I get what you're saying. Luka can take Rudy's minutes. We don't need another guy just to bury Luka. That is true. I mean,
And
go ahead.
and at that point, maybe we do take the draft capital. Maybe we do take 2 or 3 second round picks for Rudy Gay
and slide Luka into Rudy's spot.
Exactly, and then we just give Luka the those minutes to start developing for the rest of the year. And in that case,
I agree with you. I agree kind of like with you and Juan. Like I would be willing to take less, meaning us getting worse in terms of we're going to be losing somebody who's been solid for us all year long. I would say the other night, not Milwaukee, but the game before, I would say that was probably one of the only games that I can remember off the top of my head where he just was not having a good game, like really in any part of the game. He was just kind of off all the way around. But man, he's just been solid for us. Like he's been a big boost. But I would be willing to let him go if it meant we were committing to Luka. You know what I mean? Like to playing him and seeing what we got. You know what I mean? I would be down for that because I don't know, man. Like all the talk we had at the beginning of the year of like the players even saying like even just like last week they're saying we want to make the playoffs. We want to make the playoffs. I find it hard to believe that they would be so open about that goal, and then for the coaches to be like, we're okay with not making the playoffs. Like I don't think that there's a disconnect there. I think that everybody's on board. Like we're trying, like I always tell you, like you play to win the game. You know what I mean? You play to win the game.
Especially with Pop on the front office still. He's
yeah.
He's still playing to compete.
And I know that you, for anybody who's checking us out, Jake's been up on the Locker Room app doing some talks and kind of joining in on some of the discussions. And I sat in on a room that you were in with Noah Magaro and some other people. And it was fun. It was fun, like getting a chance to hear other Spurs fans give their opinions and everything. But like, I don't know. It's just walking that line, right? It's like walking that line of like, are you actively trying to lose, or like some of the words that I was hearing some of the people talk about, like it's okay, like to have that mindset of like, well, we're just not that good right now. We're gonna lose these games, and it's like, I don't want to talk like that. and if my coach talked like that, I would fire him. And if my players like that, like that's just me. That's just me. Like so you play to win the game, right? But if we're gonna commit to just seeing what Luka's got, I would be down with that. But other than that, like when it comes to the trade deadline, in my opinion, it's more valuable even if we don't make the playoffs, even if we don't make the playoffs or we do make the playoffs. In my opinion, it's more valuable to the young guys we have on our team right now to keep Rudy Gay and DeMar and Patty. Like I want to keep all three of them just for what they bring to they bring they carry a certain responsibility, which allows our guys to keep moving along. Like I think it falls along the lines of what you're saying about like wanting Lonnie on the bench, and maybe Josh doesn't want, you know what I mean, because now there's too many eyes on him and he can't be successful if it's all on him. That's how I feel like our veterans help lighten that load a little bit. You know what I mean? They just allow they'd allow our process to keep moving. So in my opinion, it's just more valuable to us to keep them.
Yeah, I definitely understand that point of view. And going back to the locker room thing of what you were saying, I heard a lot of people, saying the stuff of just like, well, what do you want? Do you want playoff experience for your guys, or do you want, like, they're pretty much saying like, do you want the playoff experience for your guys that to them won't amount to nothing?
Yeah.
Or
possibly getting a higher draft pick, which could amount to something. Yeah.
Yeah.
And well, go ahead.
And for me, it's like it's so hard to decide between the two, because I know playoff experience matters. The way that
Yep.
our fellow Spurs fans were talking, I don't think they realize how much the playoff experience does matter because I mean you have a couple of those teams that that like aren't that are hardly making the playoffs and stuff like that. They're continuously tanking, in my opinion. Like the Timberwolves at the moment are in that area. Uh, I can't really think of any other teams off the top of my head, but like the Timberwolves, when they make the playoffs, what are they gonna do? Because Cat hasn't shown anything other
Yeah.
than the one season with Jimmy Butler to show that he can lead a team farther than a first or second round exit.
Yeah.
So what's the point of getting all this talent on that Timberwolves team if they're not gonna if once they do make the playoffs they're just gonna you know in a sense drive right off the curve and get hit right out of the first round.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I agree. I mean, and that's the thing that you were saying too. It's like, what do you want? Do you want playoff experience or do you want the high draft pick? But it's like, okay, if you're putting yourself in that position to make a choice as a Spurs fan, obviously it doesn't mean shit because we don't have any say over what the organization does. But if you, as the way that you support the team is, do you want this or do you want that? Are you like, in my opinion, to say that you would rather have this is to say that you would rather take some, like, you're okay with losing games. You're okay with that. You know what I mean? And it's like unfortunately, the only way to go that way to get a good draft pick is to blow your team up or to purposefully make yourself not as good. You know what I mean? And it's like, why would you want to do that? Why? Like, even if it's like, well, because because I get the argument. Well, if we take one step back, we have the potential to take 5 steps forward. Like, I understand where that comes from, but I don't know. It's just like there are teams that can recover from that, and there are teams that can't. And I think we could. I think our team could take a step back. We kind of already did. We missed the playoffs. Like, do you want to do it again? Do you want to do it? You know what I mean? Like, do you want to now have 2 years in a row of our young guys not getting any playoff experience? Now we have to draw back on the Denver series from 3 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, at some point, I want our guys to be battle tested, and even if they don't win, I would much rather us go to the first round and have a shot at winning that series. And let's say we go to the second round and we get bounced in 5 games. Okay, fine. I would much rather have a team that has now gone through 2 rounds of playoff experience, a lot of freaking draft money, or sorry,
cap space.
cap space. You know what I mean? To go and try to add on to that roster. That way, we're gonna have some late first round pick again or whatever. Like, I would much rather do it that way. I would much. It's so much easier to convince a guy to come over. Hey, we have a lot of money, but and look what our guys just did, pushing through to try to get to this level. Imagine what you could do on top of that versus like, yeah, we got all these young guys and we got this other rookie coming in, that's a high draft pick, but we now we want you to come and be our savior because we haven't touched the playoffs in 2 years.
And
we're not, you know what I mean?
And just to put a little bit more on their perspective, I don't really know what the direction of our guys are, like what our ceilings are for our young players, and I know Josh is very optimistic about it. I don't know what your opinions are for our young core, but for the most part, all those guys that were in the locker room, and this with the all due respect, all that kind of stuff, but they were saying things that like our young guys aren't just not it. Like they're just none of them are superstars.
Yeah, I keep hearing them say like, we just need that one guy to come in, which that's a valid point to have if that's where you think that our guys are at, that they're like really, really good players, but they need somebody to be their leader. That's totally fine.
Not even their leader, but just to be the best player.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not, like I mean, in a sense, like you look at the 2014 Spurs, or I would say more like 2016, right? Timmy, Tony, Manu were still the leaders, but Kawhi was the best player. And it's like that's literally. I feel like that's just kind of what they were thinking, in the sense of just like they know DJ can be good, they know Keldon can be good, they know Derek is good where he is. Devin has potential, Lonnie has potential, but like they just don't think that any one of those guys can be the best player on a team on this team and be able to take us all the way. And then they just don't think like the core in general would be able to do it because we just don't have a superstar. And that's just what their perspective is.
And I can understand the mindset of like it's a star driven league, and it is. I mean, even how many times have we seen a game like when we play like the Mavericks or something like that? We keep it close, but then they got the guy, right? They got the guy who can just go hit the 3 shots in a row to just put you away. I understand what that feels like, and I know it. I get it. But I mean, but again, it's like even like that mindset. It's like, yo, we literally are gonna have so much room on our cap space to go and try to get a guy like that. You know what I mean? So it's like, even if we push for the playoffs and our draft pick isn't as high, we're still going to have an avenue. It might not be, the one that you want, which is through the draft, not you, but, to try to go get like some kind of high lottery pick, but we're going to have some kind of draft pick. We're going to have in what people consider a pretty strong draft class. I don't know, because I don't want to watch college, but that's what the word is. We're going to have a lot of money to go and try to get a guy like that, and we could possibly have way more playoff experience for the core that we have right now. You know what I mean? Like, and I would much rather see us go and fight for a bubble spot, fight for a 6 seed, go try to get into that first round, go try to get into that second round, push somebody to 6 games. Like, I would much rather see that over another long ass offseason and waiting for us to go and find the next guy in the draft. Like, that's me.
I definitely I can agree with both points. At the beginning of the season, I was the guy that was saying, we're not making the playoffs. Let's just work on developing our young guys, get another good draft pick this year, and then in a loaded draft, as what a lot of scouts will say, but get another good player and build around those guys, right? That's like that was my mindset at the beginning of the year.
Yeah,
and I've kind of drawn to both sides in that sense, not necessarily that I want us to have our cake or what's the phrase?
Yeah, have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah, right.
I used to get told that all the time when I was younger.
Right. So I'm not necessarily saying that like we can do that or that we should do that, but we do have the opportunity of being able to kind of do both in terms of just getting that playoff spot, but also having a 15th, 16th pick in the draft, because our record's just not going to be it's just not going to be as high as the other teams are, especially in the East and the West in terms of like those top teams, right? So, like we could have a chance at getting a solid player with the 15th, 16th pick in the draft while making the playoffs,
Yeah, I would agree. And like I said, like, I understand the idea of taking one step back to move forward more than one step, but I just think that our organization is strong enough where we can take many, like not many like multiple, but many like small, many steps backwards to keep like our steps backwards does not need to be as big as other people. You know what I mean? Like, and we can continue to keep moving forward. We have really strong foundation. We have in terms of the way that our organization runs and their philosophies and stuff like that. The teams that you see taking those steps back, the conceding steps like that, that's because their foundation just isn't as strong.
Because they don't have a culture.
So they have to take steps backwards to kind of rebuild, right? And we're not in a rebuild in the sense that like we don't have to blow our foundation up. Our foundation is set, and hopefully our young guys that we have now, whether you think they can take us to a championship or not, they're continuing to keep that foundation, like you said, that culture, so that we can find other avenues to go get other people to do it. You know what I mean? Like all the take, And I know in the room that you guys were talking about, people reference like the Mavericks or the Pistons or the 2014 Spurs and kind of call them like anomalies because it's sprinkled in with all the Shaq and Kobe Lakers and the LeBron James Heat and the, you know what I mean? Like all the big dynasties and the big superstars. And I understand that, but I mean,
Golden State.
Yeah, exactly. But it's an anomaly, but also like it happens. You know what I mean? So what are you going to do? You're just not going to try at all? Oh, we don't have a superstar, so let's just go get the first pick every time. You know what I mean? If you never have a superstar, what if you get that second pick and it doesn't pan out? Now what? You're just going to tank again to go get another one? You know what I mean? It's like at some point that can't be the answer. And luckily we haven't really been in that cycle, and I don't want us to even tempt
the only time that we
cycle.
we got the greatest power forward of all time.
Yeah, exactly. So and maybe that's what drives people's ideas. Like, well, let's just drop back and let's get a lottery pick. It's like, yeah, I get your faith in our organization to draft really well, but it's like, is that really the tempting fate you're gonna try to do, is to sink our franchise that low? We can't really afford to do that. You know what I mean? Like our franchise can't afford to do that. That's why you see that's why you saw franchises like the Detroit Pistons make the move to like go get a Blake Griffin. Because if they didn't have Blake Griffin, that franchise would have just freaking tanked straight to the bottom. And now it's so much harder to build something from that. You know what I mean? Because not everybody's lining up to go to Detroit. Not everybody's lining up to go to San Antonio. So they had to bring in somebody who's going to keep their interest level up, to keep their attendance up, to, you know what I mean? All that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So like, we just I don't feel like we have that luxury of taking steps backwards. And I don't think that we have the culture that wants us to do that anyway. So, anyways, Jake, let's kind of talk, or let's kind of wrap up our previews, and yeah, and we'll get back to kind of talking about this week. But it was good to kind of talk about trade deadline, because by next week we'll know what our roster is going to look like for the rest of the year and all that kind of stuff. So we'll be able to talk a little bit more. Next week will be fun about like, all right, this is who we got. Let's see,
especially because the thing is, it kind of like places perfectly for us, just in the fact that like whatever trades we do make, we might have one game that we get to see for that person, but for the most part, or like, and even if we don't. Even if we don't get a person or whatever like that, like for the most part, next week we'll be able to be all speculative. It won't be like, all right, we've seen games, we know what to think about it. It'll literally be like, this is what I think we could do with this guy. This is what I think we could do with this roster.
Yeah.
And then the next week after that will literally be like, this is what's happened so far. This is whatever.
Yeah, right? It'll be good. It'll be another kind of mini reset for our roster, which I feel like we've had so many this year, with COVID and the LA stuff and everything. Hey man, it's kind of crazy. It's we're in the countdown, man. We're in the last like 4 days of LaMarcus Aldridge being a Spur. Even though he hasn't, even though like we've kind of already hit that line, we already crossed over that line, officially. Within the next 4 days, he'll be either bought out or traded. So, we're coming to the end.
Yeah, we are. Anyway, go ahead and get into the Clippers game, because it's gonna be back to back. So, it'll be interesting to see who actually plays. Mainly, like seeing if Kawhi plays a back to back against us. And other than that, I mean. It's this Clippers roster, it's a team that I feel like people have been saying have been underperforming. I couldn't tell you what the record is, if you could find that real quick, but
keep talking.
But I mean, I don't think I'll ever count out a team with Kawhi on it. As much as
I think it was even him like recently saying like he felt like they were inconsistent, right? Clippers are 27-16, sitting at the 4th seed right now.
Yeah. See, so I mean, less than like the other competitors.
They're 4-6 in their last 10 games though. So.
Oh, see, so obviously that just puts them behind the guys like LA, and then Phoenix and Utah, right? Because those are the other two top seeds in the West.
Yeah. It's Utah's 1, Phoenix 2, Lakers 3, Clippers 4. Now Lakers are without AD and LeBron. And LeBron just sprained his ankle.
So
they have the possibility to kind of sniff some opportunities, and they might be looking to retool. They were talking about interest in Alonzo Ball and looking for a playmaker and stuff like that. So they could be pulling moves prior to the deadline. Our team is probably somebody who would have to wait until the last day to get a deal to come through, but the Clippers probably could get something to come through like today or whatever. You know what I mean?
Either way, though, I mean, like, yeah, like this is just. That same Clippers team that for me, even though they're being inconsistent, even though they're not nothing too crazy is happening for them, once it comes to the playoffs, even though last year it wasn't pretty for them, I'll never really count them out. I'll never really say this team can't make a run for it. And you look at the roster makeup. I know it's a little weird seeing somebody like Nicholas Batum be able to kind of make a resurgence. Honestly, 8-4-2 right here. That's not bad at all for them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but Batum plays a lot, kind of like what Rudy Gay. I wonder if they put him in at the 4 at all.
I'd assume so, honestly.
Because I mean, in my opinion, he's a traditional like small forward. But he probably does a lot what Rudy Gay does. He probably can get to his shot fairly easily, especially if he's coming off the bench. He probably has a height advantage over a lot of smaller guards. You know what I mean? So just being able to use his body and get into where he needs. And he's been a serviceable role player for a long time. He was just, he probably just got a bad rep because he had a real expensive contract. But I mean, think back to him being a complimentary player on like those Blazers teams, and he literally just played his role really well. So I can definitely see him being successful as a role player with these guys. Their IR on March 19th, as of March 19th, Patrick Beverley was out against the Hornets last night. So he and it was a knee injury. So that's something to kind of just keep your eye on. He may or may not be back for that, at least that first game, right? And then same thing on March 20th. So yesterday, they ruled Serge Ibaka out for that game. Same game against the Hornets. So with a back injury. So possibly Serge and Patrick Beverley may or may not be in the lineup, but
and that honestly helps a lot because it's crazy because this team, I feel like on paper, just like kind of talked about Milwaukee, on paper this team looks like it should just be the championship like team. Like you see Kawhi, you see Paul George, and you see a bunch of players that can be complementary pieces. Pat Bev, Nick Batum, Reggie Jackson, Serge. Who else? I saw Marcus Morris, even Patrick Patterson to an extent, right? Lou Will, Zubac, that's a lot of players on this team that can be serviceable behind Paul George and Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, and they're able to stay pretty big too with Serge, Morris, and Zubac.
Exactly.
And I'll be honest, I don't really know a lot of their younger forwards. These other guys.
Yeah.
So probably add them to the mix too. I'm just a little out of touch with some of the younger guys.
Exactly. Yeah. That would be the same for me. Is I just don't. I've never really heard of the names such as Mifiandu Kabengele. I'm so sorry if I butchered that. I either way, and it says that he's played 23 games for them. So I mean, at least this team on paper and you look at it, it looks like this team should be the the championship quality team. And it makes me kind of wonder. It makes me want to kind of tune into Clippers games just to see why it's not clicking for them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't ever want to watch this guy play.
And that's
just play against him.
I'm right there with you. There was a time in my life, man. There was a time in my life where, especially as you're getting closer to playoffs, February going into March, going into April, it's you start to just look at the seedings and you're like, all right, these are the 3 or 4 teams that we maybe have a shot at seeing in that first round. I'm just going to start watching more of them play and kind of get some scouting going, even though, you're not going to be coaching or nothing. But, same. I would be interested to kind of see what is it about this team that makes them inconsistent. I don't know. Is it because they do some sitting of players, still? I know that was a topic of conversation for them.
Luke Kennard, I saw people say that he's gotten a couple of DNP coaches decisions, and he literally got an $18 million extension by them, something like that, like a lot of money as an extension for somebody who's not even playing on this roster right now.
Heck yeah! I mean, that's like one of those. What that feels like. It's it's just bleeding you a little bit. You know what I mean? Nonstop. So maybe they do have a little bit of some maybe they do have a little bit of some internal, inconsistencies as well, or just things that aren't really clicking the way that they should. Maybe they feel like they're running out of time with Paul George and Kawhi, and they want to get younger around them and all that kind of stuff. Who knows? I would hope that we can kind of if we can just come in with the right mindset. I mean, we played them in January with no Kawhi, and we got the win. And I think I remember, like, I do remember a little bit of that game, but I mean, it was a long time ago. But you know, I feel at least confident to go in there and get a split with them.
Yeah, me too. Like, I mean, literally with how inconsistent. You said 4-6 out of the last 10, right?
Yeah.
Or was it 6-4? Either way.
No, it was 4-6.
4-6, right? So that just shows that they are being inconsistent right now. We need to take advantage of that. We need to take advantage of the fact that they just don't have whatever they're doing right now is just not clicking. Obviously, they're going to be trying to experiment, trying to change it up to try and see if things are going to work out for them, and maybe they do make a trade before the game even starts.
Yeah.
So maybe we see another player in the mix, and he needs to get his rhythm on a new team, right? Like, I mean, whatever the case may be, with this Clippers team, splitting would definitely be the best case scenario for us. I would be like
I would say that beating them twice would be the best case scenario.
Yeah. But I mean, like splitting would be good. It would be, in my opinion, like the most realistic. Like, this is what we need to take advantage of.
Yeah, especially a team like the Clippers. Let's say we beat them the first time. I bet they come out with a lot of energy and a lot of focus in that second game. Like, you know, they're a top 4 seed in the NBA's in the West. So it's not, you know, inconsistencies aside, they still are a very talented team. So I mean, yeah, I would honestly, I would like to get the first one, and then let's see what we can handle in terms of like taking a good shot from them in that second game. That would be, if I could have my perfect week, it would be us beating the two teams on the outside, the two Eastern teams, winning the first game against the Clippers, and then, like I just said, and then having
the second game.
Well, I mean, I want to win all 4, but I mean, but I guess let's say if it played out that way, where we win our 2 Eastern conferences, we win the first game, and then we're highly competitive in that second game, win or lose, I will be happy with that week.
It's a good week. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I definitely agree with you on that. And I mean, it'll be cool. I mean, I even though I don't have like the best relationship with Kawhi and stuff like that, like, I mean, he's still, and I'll never not like say this. Like, I've always thought he was the best player in the world since 2017. I always thought, like, you know, I loved the way his game went and how he worked and all that kind of stuff. So it's not like I'll watch this game and be like, I hate the way this guy plays and yada yada, like, and change up my like the way I think. Like, no, I'll watch that game and I'll see him do his things. And I'm like,
but if Keldon can put him on a poster,
exactly,
I might have to buy that.
Yep, exactly. So that's I'm definitely with Chris on what we how we feel about this these 2 back-to-backs right here. Just let's make sure that we take care of business in the first game, and then for me, you know, being competitive, being able to compete and have a good chance to win for the second game would be really great for me too.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, I kind of think, unless you want to say anything about Chicago, let's finish off with Chicago, and then we'll wrap up.
There shouldn't be much to say about this team. They should have beat us this last week, and they blew it. So that, to us, that should be the scary sense of, you know, this team can come in and compete and beat you. So you just need to be able to step it up. You need to be able to kind of take those nice looking shots and not make any mistakes coming into the game, because you saw what happened to us in the first 3 quarters.
Yeah, I think they're looking to put a more complete game against us together and finish it, and we're looking to not put ourselves in that position to begin with, to have to come back against them.
Exactly.
So it'll be fun. It'll be fun, especially because, like, I think we were talking last night, and Bill Land had mentioned during the game after Chicago, he had mentioned that, like, Zach LaVine had made a comment saying, like, man, I guess they must be the best defensive team in the league, in referencing, I guess we had gotten to the free throw line a lot more than they did. And Bill and Sean and I watched a little bit of the Chicago broadcasting their post game coverage. They had posted it to YouTube, and so I watched a little bit of it. And even their own sports people were talking about how they just stayed out in the perimeter too much. So I would imagine, if, you know, people are doing their scouting or their coaching and learning, I would imagine that they're going to try to be a more presence. They're going to try to be inside more through Markkinen and Young and some of those guys. And hopefully that bodes well for us. If we can keep Yak on the court, then we can shut that down too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I would hope that our focus is better than theirs in terms of like we just said, they have a goal that they're trying to fix from the last game, but so do we. You know what I mean? Fortunately we got the win, but it took a lot of us pulling ourselves out of our own hole. So it'll be good. I'm hoping that we don't need any extra motivation, but coming off of the Clippers games, either we're feeling really good about ourselves because we beat them, or maybe we took a loss and it's like, all right, if we lose to the Clippers, you can't afford to lose to the Bulls too. We can't.
Mm-hmm.
We're holding pretty tight right now, staying above Dallas for that 7th seed, and I think most of Spurs Nation is pretty in agreement that we want to get into that 6th seed to try to avoid most of the play-in stuff. Man, I would, to be honest, if we could get into the 6th seed, damn. Honestly, I feel like if there was no play-in game, I would be so content with playing the Suns in the first round as a 2-7, and then
Right.
Let's see. Dang. If we could get, actually, this is what I was saying earlier. It was like, so if we could get Denver to get past the Clippers and flip with them, and have Clippers be in the 5th spot and Denver in the 4th spot, man, I would love that. That would be great. And we can go. No, I guess we'd still end up playing the Lakers. All right. Anyways, never mind. I'm just talking.
I do get what I want to kind of like bring. Oops, sorry. I want to bring this up just a tad bit, just because me and Josh had talked about it like earlier in the year, like at the beginning of the season when Chris Paul had gotten traded to Phoenix. I was just telling Josh like not to count out Phoenix because it's Chris Paul. You literally saw what Chris Paul did with OKC, and now he's got a better roster around him. Even if he is older, he doesn't have to do as much. And look at exactly where Phoenix is right now.
Yeah.
That being said, though, out of the top 4 teams of the West, Clippers, Lakers, Utah, Phoenix. Phoenix is a team that I'm like, yeah, well, this is the team that we want to meet up and we want to compete.
Same, because even at the beginning of the year, we had kind of said, and I remember you talking about like they're gonna be a better team, but you were even saying you even specified saying like we're talking about winning regular season games, and in that respect, you can see Phoenix winning a lot of regular season games. Whether that translates into playoff success is way different. So all right, well, I think we're probably all in agreement in terms of our predictions for the week, right?
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. So I just added mine.
Yeah. So Josh had said 3-1. I'm also saying 3-1. Chris as well, 3-1. I think it's a good thing that all 3 of us are in an agreement for once in our lives about the records this week. Usually I am more cautious about it, but I definitely think we could take Charlotte and Chicago. I wouldn't. You would have to call me a madman if I said that we'd go negative this week.
I could see you going 2-2.
I mean, 2-2 might be something, but I would still say that we're competitive enough to say we'll split with the Clippers.
I bet though if we go 2-2, if we go 2-2. I bet there would be, I'll make a statement. Yeah, if we go 2-2, I would be surprised if you ever give us a winning record on a week-to-week projections for the rest of the year.
I think if we go 2-2 this week and it's just against the Clippers, I'm still gonna be more on like, all right.
If we beat the Easterns but lose both to the Clippers,
yeah. Like if we go 2-2 like that, then I'm not as like I'm still like okay with like how the week is gone in that sense. I'm not gonna be like. You're still going to see me be more optimistic on like, this is what teams I think we can beat. But at the same time, like if we go 2-2 and it's like the split with the Clippers
and we split
I'm be like, we shouldn't have lost that game. We should not have lost this game.
Yeah.
I'm going to start cutting us down a little bit more.
I could see it.
That would literally be the only thing that I would say.
I definitely can see that. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna go ahead and call it right there. we're looking forward to a good week. Like we had said, we'll know a lot more about our roster makeup and what it's going to look like. Trade deadline is on the 25th, so yeah, we'll see that. Lot of good talks. I'm glad Josh was able to get in here for a little bit and kind of talk about some of our younger guys. I honestly thought that you and him were going to go at it about Lonnie a little bit more.
I noticed myself get like a little like, like louder and louder as the conversation got on. I said, wait, calm down. And then I was finally able to kind of like get into mutual understandings of how it was going. But it's definitely fun talking to Josh about Lonnie, just because we're both, obviously we're all passionate about it, young guys. I feel like all of us though have like our certain player that we're more
critical
tuned to.
Or yeah.
And so like for our brother Juan, who's not on the pod, he's the DJ fan. He's the one who was in support of DJ for the longest time. Got all these DJ jerseys. I think he did buy the DJ New Balances, right? So
Dang.
so like he's the DJ fan, right? Josh is the Lonnie fan. He's been the one that's been the Lonnie supporter. I'm the Devin supporter. Chris, I would say that you're Derek. I mean, that's the guy.
I support them all, and I feel like I'm critical of them all, or I'm supportive of them all.
I feel like you do kind of have like a good balance, but I'd also say I see you defending Derek more than we do. Like,
and that's because I would agree with you when you say that 100%. He is the smartest player of the young. I mean, and he's older than them too, so it makes sense. But so I like the way he plays, and I feel like in a team where we're trying to find our direction post relying on a Timmy and a Tony and a Manu and a Kawhi, anybody who can have a clear mind set looking forward is somebody that I want the rest of our guys to follow. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, but yeah, so we'll be here next week to talk about what our roster ends up looking like, and like Jake said, it'll be pretty speculative because it comes towards the end of this week. So next week will be a lot of fun. We'll have another batch of games to break down. We'll be able to talk about how we played against the Clippers and all that kind of stuff too. So thanks to anybody who joined in and checked us out for a little bit or for the whole time or for whoever. I think we're at episode 15 and we're rounding the 2/3 mark or whatever for our first season, right? Doing this show. So we're really excited to be able to keep on doing it and try to be consistent with it. And then looking ahead, we there's a lot of things that we want to keep adding to the show and tweaking and finding ways to kind of interject more of our personality or more of our, just the things that we like to talk about and do, when we have our talks in person, right? So we'd really appreciate if any of you guys are just, stick with us along that ride and kind of see how our show kind of develops over the rest of this season. And maybe it doesn't change that much this season, right? Maybe we keep it very general or keep it close to the same, and then we tweak it in the off season, right? That's kind of how the Spurs run, or how a lot of teams like to do it. Don't change too much. Once you get the game plan, you just go see what you got, and then in the off season we'll adjust. So we appreciate everybody who checked us out. We will be here next Sunday, as you see on the bottom, March 28th. 10 a.m. Central Time, same place, on our Facebook, on our YouTube, on our Twitter, on Periscope. Go ahead and give us a follow at our Twitter account at Heroes Half Court. If you enjoy talking or listening to us talk on Sundays, we do a lot of tweeting during the games, and decent amount like on off days too. We like to engage in a lot of basketball talk over there as well. Jake, over at what is your Twitter handle?
At the real Jakob 08, I think.
That thing, something like that. you can find him through our Heroes Half Court and all that kind of stuff. But Jake also gives his basketball takes on his Twitter account. Jake's been doing some more stuff on the Locker Room app. So if that's your jam, if you have any experience with that, or even if you don't, it's been really fun. I downloaded it for the first time just to kind of see what it was about, and it was I think it was within Jake. It was within like like 3 minutes, I think. I logged on, I joined your room that you had created, and there was a guy who just joined in there, and he said, yeah, I want to ask your opinion on this. And boom, you guys just were off and running with like a sports talk
like
with this
an hour and a half.
Yeah,
Just talking to even if it is like a random guy, like I'm just talking to another Spurs fan in that sense, and we're talking about one
exactly.
topic.
And so it took me about, like I said, it took me about 3 minutes to just be like, I love this. Like I was sold on it. So I was washing my dishes and just like had my phone around, just carried my phone around me and just had you guys talking back and forth the whole time. So exactly. I mean, you know, if you enjoy hearing us talk a little bit on Sundays, we're out and about in other places. You know what I mean? So you can find us on Twitter. You can and then from there is kind of where you'll be able to see our other spots.
If I do create a locker room, I usually do post it to my Twitter. Sometimes we'll go to the Heroes Half Court and we'll retweet it from there as well. So if you do, if you ever want to start joining in on those locker room conversations, or you don't even have to speak at all. Like, you know, you just join in, and there's like a cool little room that you can listen to the people that are speaking. There's a little chat that you can type in, and then if you want to, you can request to speak, and you know, we'll put you in, let you share your thoughts as well. So it's super fun. I love doing it, especially because it one, we get more of the Spurs community, but two, eventually, you know, we start to get a little bit bigger. We start to build a bigger audience. We can start to get more general NBA communities. You know, I don't know when I want to do it, or when I'll be able to get the time, but like I had been wanting to do one over like our the centers of the NBA, and just like who people think are the top bigs in the league. And I feel like that's a general NBA talk that I could get a ton of people in and see what their perspective is, see what they have to say, who they think their top bigs in the league are, you know?
And then from our point of view, you know, then that's our opportunity to kind of insert Jakob into that conversation and see where do, you know, hey, how does he stack up against these other guys that the general audience will immediately go to when they think the best big men in the league. Well, numbers wise, energy wise, productivity wise, you know, how does our big, you know, fit into that conversation too? So yeah, man, we're trying to expand our basketball talks and just, you know, have a good time. We go on a lot of different platforms because you frankly get a lot of different kind of audience depending on where you're at. So the more we like to spread, we'd love to have anybody and everybody just join us. So keep looking out for us, and we'll be around. But we appreciate you being here, and we will see you guys next week on episode 16 of HHC. So until then, let's go get a couple wins and go Spurs go.
Go Spurs go.
All right, peace out, guys.